is FAFO, holler it loud. Fuck around with fiction, get the facts drawn. Getting triggers just the cost of the crowd. We're toxic to the lies, truth we're proud. This is FAFO, no smooth talk, no value brought. The stories we brought, the real now. Run your mouth and meet the South down. Fuck around and find out, burn it down. Muddy water don't care.
Swipe, scroll, click, refresh, notification, video, ad, drama, outrage, dopamine. That's modern life now. Human beings wake up every morning and immediately plug themselves into an endless stream of stimulation designed to capture, manipulate, and monetize their attention. We scroll while eating. We scroll while watching TV. Scroll while driving. Scroll while talking to each other. Entire generations now live inside algorithm-driven worlds where silence feels uncomfortable, boredom feels unbearable, and attention itself has become one of the most valuable commodities on earth. And somewhere in the middle of all this endless stimulation, humanity has quietly lost something fundamental: the ability to focus. Because this isn't just about social media anymore. This is about psychology, brain chemistry, behavioral conditioning. The modern world has become an attention economy where apps, corporations, advertisers, influencers, and algorithms are all fighting to dominate the same battlefield: your mind. Now, platforms like TikTok, they didn't invent short attention spans. They perfected the industrialization of them. Every swipe delivers novelty. Every notification gives the brain a tiny dopamine reward. Every emotional reaction keeps users scrolling just a little bit longer. And over time, people stop consuming content intentionally and begin compulsively chasing stimulation itself. But you know what the truly unsettling part is? It's that most people don't even realize it's happening. Think about this. Your modern algorithms now, they study human behavior better than many humans understand themselves. They track what keeps you angry, what keeps you emotional, what keeps you watching, what makes you react, and what prevents you from putting the phone down. The algorithm does not care if content is healthy, truthful, educational, or emotionally destructive. It only cares whether your eyes remain locked on the screen. Outrage keeps people engaged. Fear keeps people engaged. Tribalism keeps people engaged. Emotional instability, you got it. It keeps people engaged. In many ways, modern media has become less about informing humanity and more about emotionally hijacking it. Today, on the FAFO podcast, we are exploring the digital mind trap and what we've allowed ourselves in society to create, this new reality we are living in. When people talk about living in this digital make-believe world, like we're in a simulation, every day that passes, it feels more and more that way, doesn't it? You see, the deeper concern becomes what this does to children growing up inside this digital ecosystem. Entire generations are now developing emotionally and psychologically inside algorithmic attention machines designed by corporations whose profits depend on maximizing what? Screen time. Nobody truly knows what happens long-term when developing minds are exposed to nonstop stimulation, infinite scrolling, emotional overload, and dopamine-driven content loops from childhood onward. We don't. But we very well may be living through the largest uncontrolled psychological experiment in human history. And maybe the scariest part of all of that is this. Distracted people are easier to manipulate. Think about that. People who cannot focus deeply become what? Easier to emotionally control. They're easier to outrage, certainly easier to divide. We see that all around us. Easier to direct. Because once human attention collapses, what comes next? Critical thinking often collapses with it. And in a world where algorithms increasingly determine what billions of people see, think about, react to, and emotionally obsess over, the people controlling attention increasingly control reality itself. So tonight we are going to ask the uncomfortable question. We're going to ask the questions that parents don't want to hear, that individuals who are lacking social skills don't want to hear, that most everybody doesn't want to hear anymore. And that is this. Has modern technology simply entertained humanity, or has it fundamentally rewired the human brain? Because the death of attention spans may not just be a social media problem. It may, if we don't get a handle on it, it may become a civilization problem. Welcome to the show, everybody. Hope you're doing well today as we dive into this. It's a big one, and it's a big topic. It's a big topic. Mike says, scroll on the toilet. Yes, this is true. MTV created music videos that are shot in 3-second intervals. Said folks lost interest if shot any longer. And how true is that? Hey, Eric, how you doing this morning? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the chat. If you are out there listening, you want to be a part of the chat. If you're listening to this later on any of your favorite podcasts, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon Music, and you want to be part of the conversation, we're live here every day, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. You can follow something. You can go through Kick. Easy to subscribe to. We're building up quite a follower base on Kick, but we're also on YouTube, also on Facebook, also on Rumble. Just get in there and become part of the chat. Ask your questions as we go through it, because that's what we do here on the FAFO podcast. We look into these things. We talk about the things that people are afraid to talk about, or maybe people are just afraid to face the answers to. Because when you think about the decrease in attention spans, we talk about scrolling on our phones, all of that good stuff. What is one of the first and one of the biggest attention grabbers as far as digital apps go? These phone apps go, which is one of the biggest ones out there right now? Which is the one sucking it back, right? TikTok. I'm convinced TikTok brain is a thing. And you can debate me on this, and that's fine. You can have your own opinion on it. But I know this. TikTok, they did not invent short attention spans. They didn't. But they absolutely perfected the system that accelerates them. That platform, it operates like a psychological slot machine for the human brain. Every swipe delivers what? Something new, right? Whether it's comedy, again, outrage, beauty, shock, drama, politics, fear, dopamine. The human brain is wired to crave novelty, because novelty once helped human beings survive. Our ancestors needed to constantly notice what? Movement, danger, opportunity, and change in their environment. Modern social media, it exploits that ancient survival mechanism perfectly. Every swipe becomes a reward loop. All right, here's what happens. When you swipe, the brain starts craving the next emotional hit before it even finishes processing the current one. And eventually, people stop watching content intentionally and begin compulsively feeding the need for stimulation itself. That's why so many people now struggle to sit through a full movie or read long articles, finish books, or even focus on conversations without reaching for their phones. Their minds have been conditioned to expect constant novelty every few seconds. Why do you think YouTube changed its algorithm and they introduced all these shorts? We want the quick fix, bam, and on to the next thing. The scary part is that many people now experience real psychological discomfort when stimulation slows down. Silence feels wrong. Stillness feels unnatural. Boredom feels what? Unbearable. And boredom used to be one of the most important mental states human beings had. Because why? Because boredom led to what? It led to reflection, creativity, imagination, and deep thinking. Modern technology has almost eliminated that entirely. Entirely. And it's wild. It's wild. And we keep going. We keep going down through that. Because what happens is it's that dopamine addiction we start craving. And people say, well, is it really a dopamine addiction? It is. You can be addicted to anything. Because when most people hear the word addiction, they immediately think of what? Drugs, alcohol. But dopamine addiction may be one of the most widespread and socially accepted addictions in human history. Dopamine itself is not pleasure. So don't get those confused. It's anticipation. It's the brain's reward-seeking chemical that motivates behavior. Social media companies learned how to weaponize that system brilliantly. Every like that pops up, notification, comment, share, message, or viral moment gives the brain a tiny dopamine spike. It's the same thing with doing this content creation, doing this podcast, anybody doing a podcast, anybody doing a show or a video on YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, Instagram. We're looking for that red dot to pop up to let us know, hey, look, somebody's liked your stuff. They've shared it. They left a comment. And over time, the brain begins chasing those spikes continuously. This is why people instinctively check their phones without even realizing they're doing it. You've seen it. You've done it. I know people are going to want to say, well, I've never done that. Yes, you have. We all have. Because I'm the very one that's going to sit here and tell you, I've experienced all this. This is not one of those podcasts, by the way, especially if you're new to it, that just talks about what other people do, all right, and blames other people and says, hey, this is what you should avoid, even though I personally have never done that because I'm too good to have done that. That's BS. Straight up. We all experience this stuff. And you got to realize that. Think about that. Entire populations right now reach for their devices automatically during what? What are those moments we do that? Think about it. Awkward pauses, elevators, commercials, meals, conversations even, bathroom breaks, even while driving. I was at a doctor's office yesterday, just getting routine blood work. Doctor is one of my best friends. And we're chatting and we're catching up. And we have a lot to talk about, so there's not a lot of pauses there. Or just every time of breath, I found myself a couple of times flipping my phone over, just checking to see if there was a notification of any kind. And not that I was even expecting one. But yet, my brain has been hardwired that if I don't look at this thing ever so often, I may miss something important. The phone has become both entertainment device and emotional pacifier. At once it was used just for ease of communication. And that's no longer the case. And the problem is that constant dopamine stimulation slowly reduces the brain's tolerance for slower, deeper forms of satisfaction. Reading a book requires patience. I'm an author. I write. And I find that less and less people are reading. Less and less people seem to be reading books anymore. Building relationships requires patience. Except now, people rush into them. If it doesn't seem satisfying enough, they rush out of them. Learning skills requires patience. How many people start something and quit because I didn't learn it automatically once I tried? But here's the thing about social media. Social media conditions the brain to crave instant emotional rewards instead. And humanity is becoming increasingly uncomfortable with anything that doesn't provide immediate satisfaction. We want that immediate stimulation. We want that immediate validation, that immediate emotional payoff. And if we don't get it, we start getting antsy, and it affects us. And it's disturbing. It's disturbing. Have you seen some of these TikTok videos? These crazy TikTok videos that people do? Y'all remember any of these challenges? I'm going to show you a couple. Let me show you a couple. Because I really thought when I was looking at this, I'm like, and I remember some of these, and then you realize just how dumb they are. Like this one. Let me show this to you. I'm popping it up on the screen for those of you watching with us live. This is the dry scooping challenge. This was stupid. It's dumb and it's dangerous. Check this out. Guy just dry scooping. Pre-workout. Jeez, I can't even watch that anymore. Just dumb. Dumb. Why would you do that? Dude starts coughing. He's inhaling it. All this crap. It gets in your lungs. It can cause pneumonia. It's stupid. And yet people love seeing people do these idiotic challenges. They tune in for it. They feed the system. They feed the system. And more people jump in and do it. Yeah, it's not the only one. Remember the milk crate challenge? Does anybody remember this genius idea? Knowing this is not a good idea, but here we go. Here we go. Check it out. Check this out. This is, again, the epitome of stupid. But TikTok says you need to try it. So people go, yeah, I need to try it. Let me go do that. Bam.
Look at this wedding cake. Look at this wedding cake.
Bam.
Damn. You got it.
another one. Just one after another.
You get to the top. Down goes Frazier. Don't be scared now. Let's go.
I'm trying to figure out though why this video only has black people doing it. But I know there are plenty of white people doing this stuff too. Oh, there's the back. Gone. And it's just more and more of this stuff. More and more of this. That's what we see. Mike says I love reading, but because of failing eyesight, it's audiobooks for me. Yeah, and see, there you go. There you go. Which is good stuff. But this world we live in right now, this digital mind trap, is just making slaves out of us. Because here's the thing. The algorithm, it knows you. Think of that. The algorithm knows you. One of the most unsettling realities of the modern internet is this. Algorithms may understand human behavior better than most humans understand themselves. You've heard me say it, and it bears repeating. Because every second you spend online becomes data. What you pause on, what makes you angry, what keeps your attention the longest, what emotionally triggers you, what political content you react to, what types of people you watch, what subjects scare you, what subjects excite you. Everything. What content do you block? What content do you allow? Modern algorithms are constantly learning how to hold your attention more effectively, and they are frighteningly good at it. Now, the algorithm doesn't care whether something is healthy, balanced, truthful, or psychologically beneficial. Its job is engagement. If outrage keeps people scrolling longer, the algorithm does what? It pushes outrage. If fear keeps people engaged, fear gets amplified. If division keeps users interacting, division becomes what? Profitable. And we see that every day of our lives right now. We realize it's occurring, and yet we buy into it. And the result is that millions of people increasingly live inside personalized emotional ecosystems curated specifically to keep them emotionally stimulated and digitally dependent. Many people believe they are freely exploring information online, when in reality, the algorithm is carefully deciding what emotional reality they experience every day. Yeah. The algorithm is feeding you. You're not feeding it. It has learned. And because of that knowledge we feed it every day, it knows more about you than you do. Mike says the hot pepper challenge. I remember a young girl screaming and painting there. Yeah. Remember the Tide Pod challenge. There was even the Chase Bank glitch. Y'all remember that? Where people discovered this bank, this glitch in Chase Bank's network. They went in there and they stole all this money, which was equivalent to writing bad checks, because that's basically what it was. And then Chase shut that down and came after them. Got them all for fraud. They were all celebrating and happy, laughing, tossing money in the air. Until what? Until they found out the consequences of it. All based on this TikTok quick dopamine hit. It's we now live, and I mean we human beings now live inside the most distracted civilization in recorded history. It's wild. And you see this disparity play out in our news all the time. Like, people no longer experience uninterrupted thought very often. There's always something going into our brains. Moments that used to contain silence are now instantly filled with what? Scrolling, notifications, videos, or just background stimulation. Restaurants are full of people staring at phones instead of talking to each other. I've been guilty of it. I'm still guilty of it, and I try to be better at it. And still, I find myself doing it sometimes. Families will sit together while emotionally existing in completely separate digital worlds. I mean, even entertainment itself has changed. What movies are faster, videos are shorter, music clips are condensed into viral snippets because audiences increasingly struggle to maintain focus for extended periods of time. I do a reaction channel on YouTube called After Dark. And one of the things I love it the most is we can sit there, chill with a group of like-minded people who just want to concentrate on the music and enjoy it. Enjoy the whole thing. We're not there for a quick fix. 2 hours we spend together every day, the people in this little group, just enjoying music of all kinds. And it's refreshing and rewarding. And certainly for my mental health makes it a lot easier on me. Because modern culture, they now reward speed over depth, reaction over reflection, and stimulation over understanding. People are constantly consuming information, but often retaining very little of it because their brains rarely slow down long enough to process deeply. And the long-term consequences of this may be enormous. Because civilizations, in order to thrive and to prosper and to grow, require very specific things: focus, critical thinking, patience, long-term planning, and deep concentration. If attention itself collapses, the ability for society to think deeply may collapse with it. And we've seen this. We've seen the death of patience. We have. I mean, technology has fundamentally altered humanity's relationship with time. Because people now expect what? Instant everything. Instant everything. Instant communication, entertainment, information, delivery, gratification. Everything. We want it right now. We don't want to have to wait for it. And that's wild. That's wild to me. That's wild to me. Mike says, every day the media creates division and hatred and act all surprised when a knucklehead shoots up a church, school, or a park. Exactly. And we're being driven by these things. And all of these things cater to that and build around it. Everybody talks about AI. And AI is a great tool, but it's also helping funnel all of this. Because AI is simply learning patterns. And then they're spitting those patterns out to you, giving you back exactly what you want or what you think you want. The new movie, The Hail Mary Project, shows people still love slow burn storytelling. I know I do. That was a great movie, by the way. If you guys haven't seen it, you should check it out. Great movie. Ryan Gosling. Just an incredible movie. I loved it. I did think it was excellent telling. Incredible acting in it. Just a great movie all the way around, in my opinion. So, once again, when society loses patience, it risks losing the ability to pursue anything meaningful that requires long-term focus and sacrifice. And I think of that movie, and it's like the longer we allow this to happen, if there's a scenario that came up like that, how many critical thinkers do we have to help solve that problem? And I would love to interview, some of these scientists, people in these positions who aren't influenced by all of this rot that it seems like so much of the rest of the population is. Because what does this do to children? I mean, that's the question we should be asking. How many parents immediately throw a digital platform of some kind, a digital device, in front of their kids and go, here, I don't want to deal with you. Let YouTube deal with you. And then whoever's putting their thoughts out on YouTube, these kids are gravitating towards. You're not raising your kid. The digital world is raising your kid. And again, I keep asking the question, what happens when developing minds grow up entirely inside algorithm-driven digital ecosystems? Humanity has never experienced this before. Previous generations had childhoods grounded in physical interaction, boredom, outdoor exploration, imagination, and uninterrupted social development. Modern children increasingly grow up surrounded by what things? Tablets, short form videos, algorithmic feeds, constant stimulation, and digital emotional dependency. And there will be parents who will hear this. That could never happen to me. All you have to do is think about it for just a few seconds and realize, oh crap, I have done some of that. I've been guilty of it before. Even when my kids were smaller. And just done differently. We used to do it with VHS tapes. Nobody truly knows what the long-term neurological and psychological effects will be. We don't. But we can see the problems we have in our society right now. We see the attention problems, the anxiety, the emotional instability, the reduced patience, the social difficulties going on right now, the screen dependency are already becoming major concerns among what? Educators, psychologists, parents. Yet are they? Yet how big of a concern are they really? Because what have we done about them? We've weaponized them. But we don't call them weapons, we call it education. We know there's a problem, and yet society continues accelerating deeper into the experiment. I mean, corporations. They compete aggressively for children's attention because attention equals profit. Point blank. Attention equals profit. And the frightening reality is that we may be watching the largest uncontrolled psychological experiment in human history unfold in real time. With billions of developing minds exposed to systems specifically engineered to maximize engagement and dependency. I've said this several times throughout this show. Why? Because it continuously bears repeating. You have to understand what is happening. You have to understand what's happening. And that's one of the harder things about living in this digital mind trap. You have to hammer a point home. The same way that these algorithms, these digital machines, these apps are all hammering all this other garbage into your mind moment by moment, day by day. It's wild. Mike says, I see videos of folks destroying fast food places because they didn't get what they wanted in a timely manner. Exactly. There was a lady who died having an argument with the manager the other day. That video's running amok out there. It's wild. You know, one of the darkest discoveries social media companies ever made is this simple formula. Anger equals profitability. anger is profitable. Outrage keeps people engaged longer than calmness. We see somebody being angry, outraged, some crazy disagreement happens, we're locked in, buddy. We are locked in. And then you got the other side, fear. Fear spreads faster than nuance does any day of the week. Conflict generates more interaction than peace. Far more. People want chaos. The digital algorithms give you chaos. Because once these algorithms have learned this, the internet has slowly transformed into an emotional amplification machine. Political outrage, culture wars, public humiliation, outrage clips, viral conflict, all of it spreads because emotional chaos drives engagement. Many people now spend hours every day consuming content specifically designed, listen to that, designed to keep them emotionally activated. And over time, this creates a population that is what? Constantly reactive, emotionally exhausted, psychologically overstimulated, and increasingly divided. And we see proof of this every single day. Modern media doesn't simply inform people anymore. It doesn't. It emotionally conditions them. And the more emotionally unstable people become, the easier they are to manipulate, direct, outrage, and control. And I ask a bigger question. What happens then to humanity? Because for me, the real fear isn't so much that simply that the attention span is shrinking. The deeper fear for me is what happens to civilization itself when people lose the ability to think deeply. You see, democracies, they require informed citizens capable of focus, of reasoning, of patience and reflection. And that's not what we're seeing. Science requires concentration. Philosophy requires contemplation. And meaningful relationships have always required one thing: presence. But modern technology, it increasingly trains people toward distraction, emotional reaction, and surface level engagement instead. A distracted society becomes easier to manipulate politically. And not just politically, but commercially. And most important of all, psychologically. People overwhelmed with stimulation often lose the ability to separate truth from emotional impulse. And if human beings become incapable of sustained thought, civilization itself could slowly drift towards shallow reaction instead of wisdom. The battle for humanity's future may not be fought with weapons. It may be fought over who controls human attention itself. And it's a scary place when you get to that point. But can humanity reclaim its mind? There's a question for you, and one you should ask yourself. Because these days I find myself more and more wanting to engage with people just in conversation. Doesn't have to be about anything just super serious. Just let's talk. Whether it's sharing stories, talking about the events of the day, the movies we've watched. But conversing and being engaged has been more meaningful to me lately than anything else. So despite everything we've talked about, there may still be hope. It's not all doom and gloom, because human beings are remarkably adaptable. We are. And I think there's many people beginning to realize and recognize the psychological effects of constant digital immersion, and they're searching for ways to reclaim focus, discipline, silence, and intentional living. People are reading books again. They're spending time in nature. One of my best friends, that's what he does, man. They turn off those notifications and go. People are having uninterrupted conversations. Right? You got people now who are practicing meditation, right? That stillness. They're relearning how to tolerate boredom. These small acts may become, if we allow them to, forms of rebellion in a world addicted to nonstop stimulation. Because the human brain was never designed for infinite scrolling, permanent outrage, or endless digital immersion. I don't know. And perhaps the greatest act of resistance, in modern society is just learning how to focus again. Because I think once people regain control over their attention, they begin to regain control over their minds, over their emotions. And I think then ultimately over reality itself. The people who control attention increasingly control reality. So let me ask you these 3 questions, as we do at the end of every show. And I may throw in a bonus one here because I did think of another one. 1, do you think social media damaged human attention spans permanently? Do you think we're beyond help at this point because of social media? 2, how long can you sit quietly without checking your phone? How long? How long do you think you can do it? Question 3, is TikTok entertainment or psychological conditioning? And I'll leave you with this one. Can humanity still focus long enough to solve real problems? Because the scariest part of modern technology may not be artificial intelligence, but what constant distraction is doing to human intelligence. Guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in today to the FAFO podcast. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. until, live on Kick, live on Facebook. The Facebook one will change a little bit here in a couple of months, hopefully. So that's going to be a thing. But you can watch the show later on YouTube or on Rumble as well. You can also, if you just want to hear the audio version of the show, you're traveling, doing whatever, don't want to be distracted while you're driving, you can always listen on Spotify, on Amazon Podcast, or Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. I had it right earlier. Boy. Yeah, I'm keep stumbling over that, it looks like. So it's going to be one of those things, man. And also, if you want to help support the show, head on over to our new membership merch site, the FAFO podcast.online. Become a member. Think about helping us out. We'd certainly appreciate it. Guys, be safe. Take care of yourselves. And until the next one, you have been listening to the Fuck Around and Find Out podcast. Facts, truth, no BS. Let's effing go.
tank of gas? Does he boots on the wood, let the whiskey pass? I ain't preaching from a pulpit, I'm talking from the scar. You can dress up a lie, but it won't get far. They call it toxic when it burns your tongue. I call it true when it's finally sung. Got a dog-eared Bible of the things they hide, and a match for the curtains, let the daylight inside. You want comfort? Son, you missed your turn. This road's called real and the edges burn. Honesty don't whisper, it kicks down.